Great to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you again. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. For everybody joining, we're really excited to have you guys here. And Natalie and I actually had time to sync up yesterday just about her journey in marketing as well as her time at Sam's. So we're going to take some time and dig into that. But really quick, just introducing myself. My name is Brandi Unger. I'm based in Atlanta, and I am a senior client partner here at Nextdoor on our retail category. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Nextdoor, we are the neighborhood hub where neighbors are able to go in and plug into the neighborhoods that truly matter to them. And I personally, from a marketing and advertising standpoint, call it the cul-de-sac of the internet. So that was just a quick introduction of myself. And I want to pass it over actually to Natalie to let her introduce herself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Natalie Hite. I am the director of brand marketing at Sam's Club. So my primary role is to activate strategies, programs, and campaigns that ladder up to the value of membership and ultimately drive advocacy among members and consideration among prospects. And then I'm also venturing into engagement among associates. So really driving the brand forward with those three audiences.
Awesome. So jumping right in, Natalie, I did some sleuthing on your LinkedIn profile as we all do, and saw that you actually made that jump from the agency to the client side, both, covering Sam's from an advertising agency perspective and PR agency perspective over then to brand side. So what kind of made you, drove you to make that jump to client direct and stick in with that brand loyalty of Sam's Club the entire time?
Yeah, so I spent, before I joined Sam's, which today is actually my 6th anniversary of being at Sam's Club, which is wild. I started at Sam's. So I have twins who are now 6. I started at Sam's when they were 5 months old. I'd wanted to move over to the brand side for quite some time. It had been like I interviewed and then I went out on maternity leave and then they restructured the organization and then I came back and interviewed for a different job. So I remember that just being a crazy time, but an exciting time. And I knew I was ready to make the shift. Before then, I had spent 5 years at a PR agency, Mitchell Communications Group, which is still the PR agency of record for Sam's Club. Had an amazing experience there. Mitchell really focuses a lot on local activations, and I had an opportunity to work on a ton of different projects for both Walmart and Sam's, including category and sales driving initiatives, as well as corporate initiatives like women's economic empowerment and supplier diversity. And through all of that, what I really loved was the content development. And so we were focused on creating videos that spotlighted women suppliers or that spotlighted women throughout the supply chain and helped ladder up to Walmart's corporate initiatives, and creating that for really owned and earned placements. And I just wanted the opportunity to move into marketing and learn more about the paid channels and how to activate when I actually had a budget. So it was a nice change to move into and have the ability to grow a new skill and add that layer of paid media.
Well, congratulations on the 6 years at Sam's and also the twins, a 6-year-old twin.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible. Do you feel like having that agency side before going over to Sam's really helped position you for, that ladder up as you were moving through, as you've moved through the organization at Sam's?
Yeah, I think it was really helpful to me to have sort of a general understanding of how the organization worked. I think after spending 5 years on the brand, I probably came in with a lot of hubris of like, oh, I know everything I need to know. And then I had this learning curve, which was actually a great learning curve of how people work together at Sam's, and a client service role, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, and it has been a boon to me in my career and having that sort of communication skill set. But I was coming from that agency world, I was very used to like formal communications and hierarchy, and then I came to Sam's and realized that everyone was so driven to serve the member that people at all levels were just communicating rapid fire with one another. Like, we didn't have time to take things through 17 layers of approval. It's like, you've got a problem to solve. We're connecting you right away with the right person to solve it, no matter cross departments, cross levels, et cetera. So it was really, really great to come on to a culture that I feel like is so aligned to a singular goal of serving the member. And then, of course, working in brand, I work hand in hand with the PR team really frequently as well.
Yeah, when you're kind of coming from Sam's, which is obviously part of the larger Walmart organization, what do you feel like has kept you growing and changing throughout your experience with Sam's Club?
Yeah, a few things. One of the things about Sam's that I think is unique is just our ability to be a little bit more scrappy. Walmart as an enterprise is so big, and then Sam's Club as a business unit is still a pretty large business. I think it's valued at about $60 billion. And yet we somehow still manage to operate like a startup. Like I mentioned, there is that mindset of really operating in a member first way, and that really drives innovation. So we're not necessarily about innovation for innovation's sake. I think we're about innovation for the sake of driving convenience to the member, and that's allowed me as an individual within the organization to really do some cool things that maybe are outside of my role, and kind of stretch and grow in new ways as we have this task to go and experiment and do new cool things for the brand that we haven't done before.
What are a few of the things that you've been able to experiment with that you felt like were outside of your current day-to-day role?
Yeah, I think there are a couple, and I'll give two examples that sort of show the evolution of the marketing division at Sam's Club as well. So like I mentioned, started back in 2015. At the time, I was in a role that was very category focused and very sales focused. And we used a lot of direct mail tactics because we're a membership organization. That is the most effective way to drive sales, is by targeting the people who are already members. And I saw an opportunity as I was supporting our home division that we were really talking about. We weren't really showcasing the quality of the items that we had. We had some really incredible things like 650 thread count sheets and a line of bedding developed by Christian Siriano, who I'm a huge fan of from his Project Runway days. And they weren't necessarily getting their turn in the spotlight in terms of the way that we marketed products to members. And so I gained approval from leadership, went and talked to suppliers, and actually funded this home catalog. So it was a direct mail piece, but it was a really beautiful lifestyle catalog that we sent to members to in a targeted way to show off our home items. And I was really excited by the results because we saw that it did drive incremental sales across the box, proving out that if we could show members a really high quality item, that then they would choose to shop us for whatever their needs were, whether or not it was the specific couch that I was trying to sell them. It put us more top of mind for them.
So it's kind of it's interesting what you're saying about bringing those opportunities to yourself. You had mentioned that Sam's empowers all of the employees and all of you guys that work there to bring your full selves to work. So it does sound like that the ability to also work cross-functionally outside of your role really does enhance Sam's as a brand in general.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about bringing your whole self to work, I think that in particular was kind of a passion point for me. I'm an avid pinner, avid home decor blog follower. And so to have this experience of bringing products together and orchestrating a photo shoot and signing off on what stylists were doing was kind of a dream come true for me. And then what I'd love to see is our progression as a brand into really leading with more social first activations. In fact, I'm working on a program now where we are continuing that same goal of quality and showcasing our quality merchandise, but doing it in a social first way through videos. So we have this video series called Merchant Hero, where what we're doing is we're saying the people who have brought these items to life for you. And in some cases, it's a merchant. In other cases, it may be a supplier. It may be someone who was consulted in the product development, but really showing like the human who worked so hard to make sure that you got the best cup of coffee because they traveled to 5 different countries and tasted 100 different kinds of coffee, or the person who grew this tomato that is like the perfect tomato that we put in our salsa because it's like the right consistency for chopping up and it's juicy and it doesn't have that many seeds, and helping people understand that that level of curation and that level of just intentionality is put into everything that we put on the shelf to help elevate the overall quality perception of the products that we have.
That's amazing. Having the people being at the center kind of also mirrors what we were talking about yesterday, of also the members being the center of the experience, especially when it comes then to the marketing and the advertising side. I would love to dig in for a moment about the social opportunities that you guys have, from both talking about like the social sphere, but then also you had mentioned yesterday about some of the localized campaigns that you guys are working on, and that one-to-one experience with not just like store associates, but then with people within the that are coming to shop as members. So we'd love to hear how that's been working out, building on that people being at the center of just the universe of the shopping experience.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad we're kind of thinking about it differently than what we talked about yesterday, because it's not just members at the center, it's people at the center. So I think when I think about it from a member perspective, like I mentioned, I think it's been clear to me since day one that we were a membership focused organization, and that was a core value driving the decisions that everyone made across the board. It's continued to be a focus. I would say since maybe the beginning of COVID last year, we started doing these focus groups with our members every 2 weeks. We've got a ton of small business members who are experiencing loss, closings, lots of different obstacles at that time. And then we've continued checking in with them throughout the year, and they really help us drive decision making on everything from the hours that we operate. We actually started doing hero hours because that was a suggestion from a member, and the way that we merchandise, the way that we talk about what we do on social, it's really been driven by the voice of the members. A kind of fun example is that our members told us consistently that they wanted samples back. And so we were able to, when we finally were able to safely reintroduce samples, we made a post that was, samples are back, you can stop yelling at us. A fun way to use our brand voice, and actually really drove some engagement for us because it was a fun way for us to announce that we were bringing back samples. You also mentioned associates, and I think keeping associates at the center is incredibly important too. That's our first line of communication with our members. So it's important that our associates really feel rallied around the cause of member service as well. We had talked a little bit yesterday about innovation, and that's something that I think has been a boon for our company. When think about things that are immediately available to the consumer, like scan and go or delivery that's being launched through Sam's Club, you immediately understand that convenience. What I think is really cool that we're doing at Sam's is a lot of behind the scenes innovation for associates. We've got apps that help associates do quick health screenings when they come in to save time. We have an app called Ask Sam, where an associate can literally just ask a question like, hey, how many pairs of pink shoes do we have left? And they can find it anywhere in the store. It allows them to quickly get answers and spend more time on the floor serving members and less time going and looking up information.
Yeah, and it almost, knowing that their lives are also easier kind of makes the entire shopping experience better across the board. As a person who loves a good sample, I'm glad that you guys brought samples back, and I'm sure that I can echo the majority of other people that, it's nice to have you don't want to shop while you're hangry. Like, that's not fun for anybody.
You can almost make a meal out of it. And that's we do a lot of social listening and then enact strategies that come through that. Making a meal out of doing the samples is a trend that is hopefully really close to coming back. And then we also have seen a lot of passion for our cafe items. Another good example is date night, especially during COVID. Like, mom and dad are just dying to get out of the house. And so a trip to Sam's Club to go and do some shopping, get a pizza pretzel, look around, really resonated as a theme for our members on social. And it's something that we've tried to play up as well.
Efficiency at its finest too.
Yeah.
You can shop and eat at the same
Yeah.
same time. Shifting gears, knowing just like for time's sake, we talked a lot about the monetary value based from a marketing perspective versus brand value messaging and CSR. There's a delicate balance between the two, and where have you found success? Because you have mentioned a few times, obviously, about like listening to your suppliers, to the associates, as well as to the customers, and that social listening is very important. But when you're actually speaking to those potential new members or current members, where are you finding the right balance?
Yeah, I think, having my experience and then moving from focus on members and driving sales and then focused on brand metrics, it has been a mental shift for me. When I talked about that Merchant Hero program, the objective is not to drive sales. The objective is to shift the quality perception. And so we're measuring that with Brand Lift. We're measuring it through our NPS scores at a macro level, and then linking that business case to those business metrics to these brand health metrics. When I think about CSR, I kind of think about the concept of delicate balance in a little bit different way. It's not just how do you balance CSR marketing with the rest of your marketing. It's really balancing your actions with your words. And as I mentioned, we've been doing these focus groups, and we've heard from our members really clearly that the action is what is important to them. So we've worked very closely with Walmart there's Walmart as an enterprise and what the overall company is doing to advance racial equity, and then also how we can carve out a space that's specific to Sam's Club within that as well.
Are there any, you just mentioned the racial equality, and I know that you had mentioned also watching the Sam's Pride event that happened the other day. What additional efforts are also being taken across either Walmart or Sam's as an org that you feel passionately about, or that you feel like I am proud to be working for this organization?
Yeah, like I said, there's sort of this like banner, here's where we are as an enterprise that makes me so proud to work for this organization, because as we saw last year, there were so many companies that came out and posted a black square or vocalized words of support, which is in and of itself a big step for a lot of brands. It is putting them in an uncomfortable position and pushing them to think about things differently. But at Walmart, we came out and said, hey, we're pledging $100 million to build this racial equity systems. So we really put our money where our mouth was. From a Sam's perspective, we have what we call Sam's Club 7, which is a group focused on 7 core initiatives across education. Oh gosh, no, I'm not going to be able to remember them all, but across education, criminal justice reform, and other factors that affect minorities and actually impacting change across the country, not only within our business.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that when you guys are taking these polls from the members and the customers that are shopping, and social listening of what matters, and knowing that the brand is actually taking action, it makes you feel good to get up and go to work in the morning.
Absolutely.
Kind of shifting gears again. So we talked a little bit about localization and personalization, and how media tactics, that's becoming a little bit more increasingly important. And you had mentioned the social components that Sam's has been working with. Can you dive a little bit into that thought process for Sam and the My Local Social program that you guys are running, and how Sam's is taking those efforts to become part of the community as well?
Yeah, so I'm on a team that is what we like to call kind of a Venn diagram of brand and social. So we sort of meet in the middle in terms of where our brand comes to life on the social side. And so I really can't take any credit for this, but I can brag on my team. They have stood up these My Local Social Facebook pages, and I think we've had an incredible adoption rate. Almost all clubs have started participating just in, I think, about the last 6 months since we launched them. And then it's really been a great opportunity, I think, to do 2 things on the social side. One is really make that club a part of the community. You see a lot of passion for this person who is the greeter, or this person who is the meat cutter, and you see a lot of loyalty for the individual who is serving you, and it helps to, again, humanize the brand and put people at the center of what we're doing. But then it's also been a really good way to drive excitement for what's going on in the club, whether that's like a super cool pool float that our associates are excited about, and then we see a ton of traffic to the clubs and it sells out, or even just letting people know when high demand items are in stock, like a seasonal produce item.
That's great. Yeah. So, when things are ready to be bought, 4th of July is here. So I'm like, where
Exactly.
do I understand what's happening?
Highly recommend the cake with the berries on top. It's really good.
I'm taking notes in general, so I'm putting that down. And then finally, this is a blanketed general question. It really doesn't have anything to do with Sam's Club, Walmart, or Nextdoor, to be honest. But what other retail brands do you admire for their marketing tactics, or who do you think is doing it right at this moment or in the past?
Yeah, I think it goes back to putting people at the center of the brand and putting that humanity at the center of the brand. If you asked anyone on our team, there's a couple that are on our short list. We all really love Sephora. I think their campaign, "We Belong to Something Beautiful," is fantastic. After we talked yesterday and I mentioned them, I saw a video late last night that was from a deaf makeup artist. And even though makeup videos typically don't even really include a lot of talking, I thought it was fantastic to show someone signing and educating about applying makeup at the same time. Nike is another one that's just top of the line in terms of their brand marketing and making it really, really clear what they stand for. I also love Lush Cosmetics. They did this whole series on natural hair journeys, which I think was an awesome opportunity to educate a broader audience and to demonstrate for them that they had a line of hair care products that aligned with their customers' needs. So all of those again have in common this lens of humanity that tells a larger story and helps educate the consumer. And I think finding that sweet spot of what your brand stands for and who you are and who the people are that make up your brand and what you can provide to a consumer is just a really special place to be.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting what you just said, because I always say that people are coming and neighbors are coming to Nextdoor for the utility and staying for that community, staying for that reason of why that they're there. And all these brands and examples that you gave also had content tied into them, right? So the Sephora, you had that Something Beautiful, Lush Cosmetics with the journey. It's all about providing that actual tangible content and how that brand is allowing you to have that journey, which is pretty unique. I love it. So the last question that I have, so what is your favorite product at Sam's? This is a spitball because this is not prepared.
Ooh, okay. Changes seasonally. So my favorite product, but maybe my favorite product like evergreen all the time, is our flowers. They're awesome. Like, and I think it just feels like such a treat to just like bring yourself home a little bouquet of flowers when you're out shopping. And I think our floral merchant has done an incredible job of sourcing things and then pricing them right. Like you can get a huge, gorgeous bouquet for under $15. And they have a 7-day guarantee. So it's going to last for a long time. And I pretty much every time I go to Sam's, I'm like, I kind of want some flowers, and so I'm like making an excuse of what other things I have to buy at Sam's so that I can treat myself to a bouquet of flowers.
I mean, and when they last for 7 days, I feel like that is a reason enough. You get the samples and the flowers, and you're pretty much set for the entire week for everything.
Take yourself on a date night. Go sampling, pick up a bouquet of flowers, a nice bottle of wine if you're so inclined, and you're good to go.
I love it. Well, Natalie, this has been a pleasure. I know that Sam's and Nextdoor has worked together in the past, and I hope that everyone kind of got a really great view into your journey at Sam's. And the one thing the biggest takeaway that I've had from today is that the people being at the center, and even your own career journey, it sounds like taking all of the knowledge that you have, but you continue learning, coming in from the agency side, having that knowledge, but then being like, okay, it's actually different from what you thought it would be moving forward. And, Sam's Club, I feel like this year in particular has taken really large steps when it comes to meeting the members where they are, keep making sure they're keeping associates safe, and innovating as a brand. So I'm excited to see what you guys have coming up through the rest of 2021 and 2022.
I'm excited for you to see it. I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of that flexibility and that learning mindset. I think that's been one of the things that's really carried us through the last year, is the ability to adapt and to continue innovating and serve our members. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye.